Yes, everyone, you know what time it is. It's your boy Jack here at the Irish Hotspur, here to deliver you a big news update. Everything having to do with the Pedro Porro deal and how it might be reaching an impasse. It could be collapsing at this moment in time. Basically, going to give you all that's happening because it is moving very, very quickly. Lots of things happening all at once here. So basically, this is your video to basically check in and get everything that you need to know about that sort of deal with Pedro Porro and how it's maybe going wrong at this moment in time. Some other little bit of news about Piero Hincapié and some youngsters that Spurs are after as well. So do stay tuned for that one. But Dave, before we get into it and deliver the news here, how are you?
Yeah, Jacko, I'm good. Well, I thought I went to bed good last night thinking, Pedro Porro would be announced today. Then I get out of bed today and it's all gone haywire. Never a dull day in the Tottenham transfer window. Look, not that this one is entirely Tottenham's fault, Jack, but, it's transfer windows are harder for Tottenham fans. But look, enough of my waffling. Let's get into it. Tell people what they need to know.
Exactly. Let's tell them what they need to know, everybody. We're going to talk about the Pedro Porro deal reaching an impasse. I'm going to start where basically we left off yesterday, right before we were going to bed, everybody. Fabrizio Romano did release that "here we go" tweet, and he said Tottenham want to get all contracts signed today for Pedro Porro deal after the verbal agreement reached with Sporting on Saturday night. It's done for a fee close to around 45 million euros, he tweeted yesterday. And then he also said Pedro Porro is prepared to travel to London with his agents later today. Contract is agreed with Spurs until 2028. And then he said more on the Pedro Porro deal. Tottenham have never considered the signing at risk or close to collapsing. Porro was the priority target since the beginning of January. I tweeted too soon there, Fabrizio. And this morning via The Athletic, everybody, David Ornstein has kind of broke the news here, and he tweeted out the news of the Pedro Porro deal potentially collapsing. He said Tottenham move for Pedro Porro is off after Sporting Lisbon reneged on the terms of proposed deal. 23-year-old distraught after Sporting CP president told right wing back that following Saturday's League Cup final, he would be allowed to leave. So a bit betrayed there, you could say. Pedro Porro is feeling. Paulo Keefe has followed up and has added a bit of context today, and he has brought up in a Twitter thread here, and he said, "I knew Sporting were awful to deal with, but this is a whole new level reached. They'd already dropped into negotiations late that his release clause was not valid as it had an expiry of 12 days before any window closes. They used that to start asking for more money, which Spurs overcome. Where does it which Spurs were not able to overcome? Where does it end? Do we offer another 5 million and they say yes, then no again? The player was scheduled to arrive at Tottenham this morning and is obviously pissed. More fallout to come, no doubt. Nobody, however, can trigger his release clause, hence why they're after more money." So that doesn't even sound like then Man City can come in and swoop in for the release clause. Basically, they kind of just pulled a fast one, pulled a curveball on everybody here. Gary Jacob of the Times has tweeted that Sporting have refused to sign off a final agreement over administration fees for Pedro Porro. They want THFC to pay around £2.6 million to cover the cost of payment methods to administer the deal. A trusted THFC source, George Bannister, has brought up in negotiations, saying it is worth noting that this negotiation to date have been through the Spurs-based intermediaries and not Paratici. So this whole negotiation process has been kind of manufactured, or at least, kind of administered by some sort of kind of intermediaries that Spurs hired. So it's not been done by Daniel Levy or Paratici so far. And it says new development last night, and this stalemate has brought the big daddy Daniel in. Following that info, Paulo Keefe tweeted, "Following a bit of a shit show from the CAA-based acting agency as intermediaries during the Pedro Porro transfer negotiations, Daniel Levy has now taken over. Daniel Levy has now taken over the negotiations for the Pedro Porro from the CAA base. Sporting are looking for a replacement right wing back. Their loan deal for Tarek Lamptey was rejected, by the way, and now Sporting are looking at Hector Bellerin as the replacement." Matteo Moretto tweeted, "Sporting have agreed on personal terms with Barcelona's Hector Bellerin while the two clubs continue to negotiate. Pedro Porro's transfer to THFC will be key for the move to happen." So many different things happening at once here. And then one of the last and final few tweets here, everybody. Bruno Andrade, the Portuguese journalist who's been well ahead on a lot of this stuff, said Pedro Porro did not train earlier today at Sporting. He refused to. Negotiations with Tottenham are at an impasse. And finally, George Banner tweeting and adding a bit of context. Heard last night that Sporting were playing games and that Porro finally lost his cool with them. Spurs were done. Everything bar the flight was booked. Then the terms were changed by Sporting. Not sure we'll pay more, so this will come down to Pedro Porro forcing a move or the same agreement, I think. And then this just came in from Fabrizio Romano. Understand that Pedro Porro didn't train with Sporting today. He only wants to join Tottenham Hotspur after Sporting changed the conditions of the deal during the night. Been told there's a meeting ongoing as Spurs and Sporting are trying to find a solution. Dave, so much is happening. So much is moving fast. And Daniel Levy, he's flying in to try to fix this.
I mean, that's only going to make it even harder. The whole reason why we bought in Paratici in the first place was to keep Levy out of the deals because they were always being made notoriously difficult by the guy. So I'm not sure that one's going to help, to be honest. Or, deadline day is coming up. He knows there's protests at the training ground. He can come out of this looking like a hero, can't he? So, let's wait and see what happens. But look, Jack, where I'm at on this one, look, we went to bed last night, got the here we go. Everyone's delighted, waking up thinking this morning, look, it's going to be announced. But what's happened today, and I know people are probably going to kill me for this, but you cannot blame the club for this. They hadn't a deal agreed, a price agreed. Sporting slapped on an extra 2.3 or 3 million because they want Spurs to cover the administrative fees for this deal. Now, look, Sporting are the ones that have shifted the goalpost. CAA, who have been the agency in charge of negotiations, also fucked up these negotiations. They didn't alert Spurs to the release the release clause that expired 12 days ago. Never alerted Tottenham to that. So there's a lot of moving goalposts on this that you can't really put on Tottenham Hotspur. But saying all that, it's an extra 3 million, Jack. I mean, if you're willing to go to 45, 48 million, just pay the extra 3 million and get it over the line. Or even if you don't, look, just even send out, because look, even if we do that, Jack, there is a possibility that they can move the goalpost again tomorrow. Because look, Sporting are trying to get as much money out of the deal as they can. They've sold a lot of players to the Premier League over the last few years and have notoriously been difficult to deal with. But what Spurs should do is say, look, okay, we'll cover the administrative fee, but this is it. Otherwise, we're walking away. That's what I would be doing if I was Tottenham Hotspur right now. But look, Jack, this is a saga that's going to keep on moving all day, probably moving into tomorrow as well. I hope it gets done. I get a little bit of encouragement that they've agreed personal terms with Hector Bellerin. We know that Barcelona have to offload wages because La Liga said it to them there the other day that they have to offload between 150 million and 200 million in wages. So there is a possibility that Hector Bellerin deal can get done. What's being stalled is agreeing a set price with Barcelona on that deal. So if that deal gets done and confirmed, you would say that Pedro Porro is going to happen. But Jack, you made a brilliant point earlier where Pedro Porro has to push for this deal himself. Now, it does look like that he is doing that, refusing to train. He's made it known that he's pissed off and he's upset. So I'm hoping that they don't want to keep an unhappy player and that this deal will happen. But my God, it's hard as a Tottenham fan, Jack. I mean, we never just get deals done easy. Like Cancelo to Bayern Munich. Now, no one heard that now. But all of a sudden, people wake up today. It's a done deal, nice and easy. Now, look, I must stress, this one isn't on Tottenham today. This is on Sport or moving the goalpost. But if he's your number one target, go and get the deal done. But I will also add, like I stated yesterday, Jack, this should have been done the 1st of January. No airs and graces about it. Get it done nice and early. Get it in if he's your number one target to be able to help. We left ourselves open for Sporting to move the goalpost in the last few days of the transfer window because the ball's in their court. If it's Tottenham's number one target, they can keep shifting the goalpost and get as much as they want. So, we left ourselves open to that. And that's our fault at the end of the day. And I suppose if you're looking, apparently Paratici wasn't involved in this deal. It's all been through CAA, an agency. But who employed the agency to do this deal in the first place? Yeah. You know what I mean? So, look, all of this ultimately does come back on the owners. I get today isn't their fault, but like I said, this one should have been done well earlier in the window.
that's where you can blame them, is that you can blame them for this not being done sooner. You don't really blame them for, for the
You
likes of
can't blame
sport.
them for
You
sport.
can't blame them for Sporting pulling these kind of slippery curveballs, but what you can blame them for is not being more proactive earlier. They could have been much
Yes.
more proactive about this earlier. They could have tried to even, go through this type of negotiation process of, with the whole kind of installments and things like that from, like you said, Dave, the 1st of January. Why weren't we kind of getting those sort of negotiations and those sort of updates from the very 1st of January? But now it feels like, they've left it until very, very late. And by leaving it until very, very late, they've given Sporting the opportunity to be very slippery and be very kind of tricky with us. And honestly, we're kind of paying the price for it. It's something that we normally would do to other clubs. And now we're kind of getting a taste of our own medicine to a degree. And you have to be angry with Sporting, but you also have to be kind of upset and a little disappointed with ourselves, I think, at the same time. That's how I would sort of look at it, Dave. It's a bit of a mixed bag of being very upset with our ownership and the way that we've gone about this deal in the first place. But you also have to be pretty upset with the likes of Sporting just making this even more complicated and kind of, pulling back on, original agreements and things like that. And also, right, putting out Pedro Porro. It's not like Pedro Porro is, happy about this either. Like you said, he's very upset about this. Now he's going to have to, push for the move himself and kind of put himself in the spotlight here. So it's really not easy on anybody. You're kind of upset. It's kind of annoyed at really everybody kind of in this sort of situation. But like you said, it should have been done earlier. And you really hope now is that Daniel Levy walks into, or is flying into the likes of Lisbon with kind of a bit of a Logan Roy succession type energy to try to get this deal done and just try to get as many of the assurances that he can. Because I don't know, Dave, I feel like this could easily collapse now, especially with maybe the likes of a Daniel Levy coming in. Because if maybe he gets pushed around too much, he might kind of back out of it. You never know. He doesn't like to get pushed around. He doesn't like to be messed with. So it could go either way. You could either see Daniel Levy kind of going in and just getting it done, just sort of kind of taking executive power over this, or you see him kind of just giving up and just sort of tired of kind of the tricks and tired of the curveballs from the likes of Sporting. At the end of the day, though, like you said, it's, or at least like I'm kind of bringing up, I think it's a mixed bag between the likes of Sporting causing us, a lot of torment and kind of torturing us over this. But also, if we had acted sooner, we wouldn't have had to go through all of this. We wouldn't have to go through all these hoops. We wouldn't have to go through all these kind of obstacles and all this kind of, just kind of trickery, let's say. And if we had done it sooner. So that's, I think, the lesson from this. And it looks like Pedro Porro is going to have to get this done, everybody. It looks like Pedro Porro is going to have to push for this.
Yeah, if I was his agent, I'd be instructing him into training tomorrow. Start ballooning balls, over to the other side of Portugal. Ruin the training sessions. Do everything you can to force your move. But look, Jack, I don't like the way this one is being painted or shaping up, where it's like Daniel Levy with the cape on coming in to save the day. I'd probably get announced tomorrow and Daniel Levy looks the good guy again. I don't like the way that's shaping up. But look, I know everyone's in fear of this deal collapsing. Me personally, I feel Tottenham have no option but to pay it. No Spurs fan is going to accept Tottenham walking away from this deal, because every Spurs fan is simply just going to be like, well, I mean, you've had 31 days to get this
Exactly.
deal. Why is it taking so long? And Sporting also know that. That's why Sporting are moving the goalpost, Jack, because they know the pressure that Daniel Levy and the Tottenham board are under. So they can keep moving the goalpost and keep up in the price, knowing that Spurs have no real option to back out. They have to go for it because no one's heard of any plan B in the pipe works. And anyone, even if there is a plan B that comes up tomorrow, everyone knows that it's not our first choice because we flayed to get this one done. So I've no doubt Sporting are using the power of, the pressure from the fans that Daniel Levy and the board are under to keep up in the price. But also, Tottenham are in a situation where if I was them, you have to go along with it. You have to. You cannot afford to let this deal collapse. Because I tell you what, if you do, the momentum and the tide will shift, and there's going to be so much more people that will actually get out and protest. They're not just going to sit there and be unhappy. They're actually going to get out in numbers, and it'll turn to bodies on the street. So Tottenham have no option but to make sure this deal gets done. 100%. But I know everyone was caning me earlier on saying, yeah, Dave, I love you and all this, but we had I fully understand that, and I said that when I got a bit onto the point a bit later on. This should have been done the 1st of January. We had a whole World Cup period to get it done. Whole World Cup period. We didn't fucking exercise it.
Everybody, if you do want to get back to that sort of, news update, we brought everything sort of up when it comes to all the updates that you need when it comes to this Pedro Porro saga. So, scroll back to the very beginning if you do want to get kind of all the latest news and all this. But Dave, I think we have to move into now maybe a bit of the news on Gil Messi heading on over to Sevilla.
Yeah, poor news, Jack. Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm disappointed in this one, but take it away and I'll give my thoughts.
Gil Messi is headed to Sevilla on loan, everybody. He's already over, I believe, in Spain or taking a flight as we speak. Bryan Gil will undergo medical tests in the next hours. Later tonight, Sevilla are exchanging documents with Spurs to complete the loan deal. No buy option confirmed. Bryan Gil is already in Sevilla with his agents. Dave, what do you make of this? For me, I've never liked this from the beginning because now we're already, again, having a very imbalanced, it feels like, sort of front line. I liked having that even number of 6 players and having that Kulusevski understudy in Bryan Gil, and now he's already on and, he's gone again after already kind of proving he's taken advantage of the chances that he's been given this season. And so it's just deeply frustrating. But what do you make of this, Dave? He's headed off to Sevilla for just a loan deal, and it looks like no buy option or anything either.
Do you know what, Jack? For me, I'm disappointed in this one. I'd much rather have him as an option than the non-option Lucas Moura. He's gone at the end of summer. Just get him gone and continue to develop Bryan Gil. But if you're in Bryan Gil's shoes, Jack, you can understand it. He wanted out in last summer. The loan deal to Valencia, I believe it was pulled at the last minute because we couldn't get in a replacement. He's took every opportunity that's been given to him this year, Jack. He's got on the ball. He's looked good. He's want to make things happen. When he doesn't have it, he wants to chase after it. And he provided a lot of energy, especially since the turn of the year, put himself in Conte's eyesight with the performance at Palace, Portsmouth, teams like that. But ultimately, his game time has been restricted ever since he signed for Tottenham. The signing of Danjuma has pushed him further down the pecking order. Now, the reason why I think this loan move to Seville will be good for Gil Messi, Jack, is because Sampaoli, who was the Sevilla manager, he actually wanted Bryan Gil at Marseille. He came out and said this himself, that he actually gave Bryan Gil a personal call to try and get that move over the line to Marseille. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. But he is going to Sevilla to a manager who really wants him and really admires what Gil's talents are. But at the same time, only Tottenham can give Sevilla Eric Lamela 21 million and Gil all at the same time. So it's absolutely crazy. It's mind-boggling when you really think about it. We gave them Lamela to bring in Gil to try and get the new wave of Tottenham under go. They now have Lamela 21 million and the player we signed off them. This can only happen as a Tottenham fan. It really can. But that's the latest on Gil. And look, best of luck, kid Jack. I think I hope he really shows Spurs fans what he's really about out there. He needs to have a good loan deal.
Me too, Dave. I do hope he takes advantage of it in the best way he can. We know he's already, done fine in Spain before. I'm not really sure if anything has to do. I'm not sure if anything has to do with it. He'll. Sorry, I was just putting somebody in timeout. I'm not really sure if Bryan Gil is going to really learn much more from going back to Spain for me. Like, he's already done fine there in the past. Maybe like playing under Sampaoli will be really good for him because he's playing under a manager that actually is excited to use him, excited to get the best out of him. That's probably something.
Sampaoli, Jack. What's his style of football like? Will it suit Gil?
Very progressive, very fast. He's managed Sevilla in the past. Actually, this is actually, I think, his second go at it. Maybe even it could even be his third go at it. I'm not really sure, but he's been there like before, Dave, and he's been very successful, over at Sevilla in the past. I really like Sampaoli. He's also as well, I think, during that Marseille team last season, that Marseille team that qualified for the Champions League, they got second, I think, in the league as well, if I'm not mistaken, that Marseille side. They were very, very good, Dave. And Sampaoli, very progressive, very kind of high energy football. So I think he'll enjoy it. He'll actually probably be able to sort of suits his style, I think, to a degree, him playing with Sampaoli. And also maybe his aggressive, pressing and kind of energy to win the ball back is probably maybe why Sampaoli maybe wants him so much. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. But to Steve D, I mean, what would you say, Dave? Like, let's be honest, it is a tough time at this moment. But Steve, I mean, It's not to say that it isn't totally, over collapsed or anything, Steve. Like, I do feel like it can go either way from this moment in time. Like, we could actually have still Pedro Porro done by tonight or done by tomorrow. Not saying it's all over here, but any words of encouragement here for Steve, Dave, or do you kind of
Look,
feel where he's coming from?
we were here under Nuno. A lot of people getting pissed off with the club, falling out of love with the club, don't want to hear about the news, what fans have to say on YouTube, this, that, and the other. And look, being honest, I get it. I mean, I myself had to take a break there recently because I get overwhelmed with it all. But what I will say to you, my man, is this current ownership, we were here before them and we'll be here long after them. Don't let them ruin your love for the actual football club itself, Tottenham Hotspur, my man. And look, if you need to take a break, take a break. But just know your arch nemesis is always waiting here for you, my man.
Now Dave will be waiting for you, Steve D. Big up, my man. But everybody, that's the bit of news on Bryan Gil. He is headed out, and believe me, I think we'll talk about it probably at another moment in time as well. But I do think it is a mistake by Spurs. Another bit of news is that Spurs are set to sign a young striker from Chelsea to improve the youth academy. This is coming from Football London, and they're reporting that Jude Soonsup-Bell, I believe is his name, has completed his medical ahead of his move to Tottenham. Spurs swooped for Soonsup-Bell after his contract talks between the Blues and the striker, who turned 19 this month, have stalled. The forward is highly regarded at Chelsea, but is understood to have wanted a clear path to the first team football. And with his contract running up into its final 6 months, the Blues had to let him go. He underwent his Tottenham medical on Monday, and the deal is now understood to have been completed, with the teenager moving across London on a free transfer, but with Chelsea holding a sell-on clause. The move is expected initially to bolster Spurs' academy, but with the prospect of a summer loan for Soonsup-Bell. Dave, any thoughts on this? And I think it's, kind of all an effort of trying to kind of bolster this youth academy a bit more.
The funny thing is, the guy's moving because he sees a clearer pathway at Tottenham into the first team than he does at Chelsea. That's the whole reason why he never signed a contract renewal at Chelsea, and that's why we've been able to get him. But, I mean, he clearly hasn't been following Jamie Donnelly or his father on Twitter, because it was only a few weeks ago. Jamie Donnelly's father sitting there, he goes, okay, no attacking options off the bench, no strikers, no forward players. We've got a whole host of them here in the youth squads. You've got Donnelly, Will Lancashire, Mundial, this, that, and the other. None of them are making the bench, and this is why these people are getting pissed off, because there's no pathway to the first team for them, even when there is injuries. So I don't know why this guy is coming, but look, Jack, I was speaking about this on Savas last night, and I like I said, I was speaking about this earlier on in the day yesterday with you, and I'm going to go into this a lot further, but our youth academy, our youth system is absolutely shocking. We need to, like I explained yesterday, we don't have scouts in nearly every country across the world looking at all these underage tournaments, speaking to players, sending them in on trials. We don't have that here at Tottenham. Now, look, it is something we need to address, because we are bottom of the under-21s, and that's probably why you haven't seen any come up this season into the first team, because there's just so far of a gap. Look, I'm all up for bringing in all these improvements. But why is it we only seem to know how to get players from in and around England? You look at Man City, they have an academy set up exclusively in Africa. They bring that academy over to play their academy here in England, and they continuously take the best players off it. We don't have anything like that. But look, I wish the young lad the best of luck. I really do hope it works out for him at Tottenham. But with the way our academy's been performing and what's come through over the last recent years, I wouldn't hold out much hope. I think this is more just to try and improve what's going on this season. I don't think we'll ever see this guy in a Tottenham jersey.
Yeah, I doubt it either. Another person that we might not ever see, but worth reporting on, I guess, is Spurs after Southampton youngster. And this is coming from Footy Insider. Spurs have submitted a bid for Southampton's 18-year-old left back Thierry Small. The deal is being led by Gretar Steinson, that guy that we brought in recently, to improve the likes of the academy and kind of this sort of recruitment department. And then also as well, the Hincapie deal, everybody, is likely to be done in the summer. No center backs in the summer, basically, is the bit of news. And that's come via Dan Kilpatrick. Antonio Conte wants Spurs to sign a top center half, but any move for Piero Hincapie will likely have to wait until the summer. Very disappointing in that regard, Dave. I think that's what makes this window not very exciting at all either.
Nah, look. It's our biggest issue, right? You know, it's a huge problem for us. We can't keep goals out. We're constantly making mistakes when games are in the balance, constantly giving away goals. We constantly keep going behind first. It's a no-brainer to go out there and try and do something in this position this summer or this January transfer window. The fact that we're kicking the can down to the road to the summer, the only way I'll let them get away with this is if they bring in 2 world-class centre-backs this summer, and that better be the thinking behind it, because if not, this is not acceptable. Even then, it's not really acceptable, Jack. We still should be bringing in someone to try and alleviate the problems. You got Stefan de Vrij there. He'd be available. His contract is running up. Go and put in a bid, try and get that deal over the line.
Yeah.
Keylor Navas looks he's going on loan to Nottingham Forest. Why couldn't we look at bringing him in here? With our problems with Hugo Lloris, this, that, and the other. The reason why we haven't is because all of our attention is on Pedro Porro right now. Look, this very quickly could be a very underwhelming window. Even though we brought in Danjuma, that was an opportunist deal. That wasn't planned. So then you look at it, we could easily come out of this window, Jack, with absolutely zilch, an under-21 signing, a player that we got on an opportunity and not a player that we wanted here in the first place. I mean, look, they better get this Porro deal over the line. They better.
Yeah. Anybody that's also... Yeah. Sorry.
I just want to address one thing quickly before you address Super Chat. Someone says fake news content providers. I mean, not really fake news. Do we provide content? Yes, we do, but we also provide a platform for every Spurs fan, regardless of your opinion, to be able to come on and have your say and share your opinion. And this is what this channel was built for the fans, by the fans, for fans to be able to have an outlet to come and speak their truth, speak their opinions of what's going on. And of course, what comes with that is giving news updates on what's out there and providing our opinions along with it as well. If you don't like that, you don't have to tune in. You can go off somewhere else. It's YouTube. There's millions of channels out there. Off you pop.
Big up, though. Dermot saying, Dave, only Spurs and Hill Messi are going to feeling about Dave, only Spurs and Hill Messi going to be feeling fed up about Spurs. Should have a health warning. Spurs can damage your health. Big up, guys. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Believe me, I think the Hill Messi news was already hard enough to take, Dermot. This, just the fact that we couldn't wake up to Pedro Porro, maybe with the medical, videos and the TikToks and everything that they release on these sort of media days and everything. The fact we couldn't wake up to any of that and we're still being put through this further torture with Pedro Porro. I mean, what do we expect? We probably are kind of used to this when it comes to Spurs, but at the same time, these are honestly new levels because it really is. I've never seen before this window where you've seen, Fabrizio Romano give, that much of confirmation in that sort of manner and that it just, kind of fall apart in this sort of way. It's just ridiculous. I think it really is. So I don't know. Only Spurs, Dermot.
It's a joke, Dermo, but in all honesty, Dermo's back in hospital again with the ticker. I hope you're all right, my man. Let me know what the result is later on, but big yourself up. If I was you, I'd actually turn off Spurs news for the day completely, and just let me keep you updated. I'll let you know if anything significant happens, Dermo. But big up, my man. Really appreciate it.
Keep in touch with us, Dermot. We'll give you the news updates nice and easy. No need to give it to you in such a panicked way. But big up, brother, and hang in there, man. Hang in there.
Jacko, as you know, I have to go, so I'll leave you round this one off. And everybody, I'll speak to you on the. Actually, go on. We'll go another 2 minutes.
Moondog here saying, good afternoon, Dave and Jack. Good afternoon, Moondog, but no longer a good afternoon, I would say, for you, my friend, until this Pedro Porro deal gets done, brother. But do appreciate you tuning in and go back to the beginning, Moondog, if you want to see all the kind of the stuff that we spoke about earlier, my friend.
Quickly, Moondog, if you have my number, message me, my man. I want to speak to you quickly, so just message me if you have my number, brother.
Get in touch with Davo, Moondog. Adrian Chia, big up, lads. Sporting got Levy by his balls, and Hill's loan to La Liga reeks of a lack of planning again. Each window is precious, and still we piss it away. Adrian, I think you put that perfectly there. And also, when it comes to Hill, I just don't really get it because it was spoken about in the very beginning of the summer, where it was I believe Antonio Conte said he wanted 6 players to choose from for that attacking line with this 3-4-3. And yet again, we're still kind of making a bit of an imbalance. Let's say Kulusevski picks up an injury again. Who do we really have that actually can be that sort of creative outlet on the right? Or who do we have that can be maybe that creative outlet if we wanted to switch to a 3-5-2, right? Maybe that's the whole point of bringing a creative midfielder then. If you're going to get rid of Hill Messi, bring in a creative midfielder like a James Maddison or something like that. That would sort of, bring something a bit different. But no, now we're going to be finding ourselves again, whereas Kulusevski, if he gets hurt, we're going to be without that creativity. We're going to be without that option that we've been using and, so desperate for. It just doesn't make sense. And also Hill as well proved that he can at least bring some type of creativity off the right when Kulusevski isn't there. So I don't know. It doesn't make
The
sense.
thing is, Jacko,
it's bad squad planning.
We have to make space for someone like a Pedro Porro, right? In the squad. And I don't mean spaces in terms of numbers. I mean in terms of the amount of foreign players you're allowed. Now, the easiest one to get out is Gil Messi because there's interest there. Sanchez didn't want to leave. Then we make him captain next day. No one wants Lucas Moura. Why would they pay for him when they can get him on a free this summer? There's no Tanganga. No interest in him this January. I'd say AC Milan are not asked to negotiate with Tottenham over that after what happened last summer. So Gil Messi is the quickest option to be able to get out the door, and that's why he's gone. But like Adrian Chia says here, it's a severe lack of planning, and this is the reason why I agree with you, Jack. I'd rather carry the 6 numbers there across the forward line. We've seen how injuries have decimated it already this season. Could very quickly find yourself back in that position. But now you have minus skills. So, I mean, I don't agree with it, but I know why they've done it. He's the only one where there's interest in it. It's easier to get out the door to make room for Porro.
Yeah, big up Adrian, my man. And I don't know, Levy's going to have to somehow come in and figure the situation out, because if he comes back without Pedro Porro, basically, I mean, honestly, I think everybody's going to be out in the streets after his throat. But Tin Man 007 said, guys, I'm just sick of this club now. Sick of Levy and Enoch holding us back. He's just mugging off every Spurs fan out there. Levy out and Enoch out. Believe me, Tin Man, I think it's already been a few messages in here. I think from the likes of Phil, from the likes of Steve D, just saying it's just becoming they're just taking the mick out of, the fans just time and time again. And it's just starting to become, even for the most optimistic, even for the most kind of positive of Spurs fans, it's just starting to become soul crushing for, I think, every single person. Like, no one really has kind of the stomach, I feel like, for this type of stuff anymore. Tin Man, we just can't keep going through these type of antics. We can't keep going through these type of hoops and everything. It's just, especially with how you see other clubs operating this transfer window, it just seems like it's like 1 or 2 tweets or whatever it is, and the deal is done. But with us, it's just so many different, hoops and so many different, kind of obstacles that we have to go through. And it's just becoming tiresome. It's becoming soul crushing for Spurs fans, Tin Man.
Look, we've been completely mugged off this season. We got off to a good start in the summer transfer window, failed to follow it up. Towards the end of the window, didn't address the centre-back issue, which has been a long outstanding issue for 2 to 3 years. Then we failed to use the World Cup period to, tie Antonio Conte down to a new contract, sort of, get Kane in negotiations for a new contract, and also plan ahead for the January transfer window. Now we're in a January transfer window. We had to wait, 28, 29 days for an opportunity signing to come in, and we're still waiting 30 days now for our first choice signing that right wing back, which has been a major issue. We've just been mugged off all season now. It's that simple. But look, this would be to Daniel Levy and Enoch's detriment if they don't get this done, because like I said, I think you're going to see a lot more numbers and bodies out on the street if the Porro deal doesn't get done, because I think this would be a huge turning point in the fan base. I really do believe it. Let's wait and see what happens. Like I said, Tin Man 007, I don't like the way it's being portrayed that Super Levy's on his way out to be the hero to save the day. Don't like the way it's being portrayed whatsoever. Should never have had to come down to this. Should have been done on the 1st of January, my man. Tin Man, you've been fed up a long time. I don't blame you. Big yourself up, man. Good to see you, and I hope you're keeping well.
Thanks for tuning in, Tin Man. Do really appreciate it, brother. But everybody, I think that's going to be the end of the news update. Do watch this back in case you tuned in halfway through. If you tuned in a bit late, we did bring up a lot of the news regarding the Pedro Porro deal in the very beginning, but we did want to keep this as a bit of a short news update for you all. But I think we'll leave it there for you. David is going to be up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, plug it. I was just going to plug it. You can plug it.
Dave is off to the likes of Sean Show over on Spurs Talk Show. If you want to follow Dave over there, feel free to go follow him over to Shawnee's show. And then also we have a fan show later tonight, everybody. If you want to have your say on this sort of, honestly, on this sort of shit show that's gone on, if you want to have your say, feel free to come on. We have a fan show later tonight at 8 p.m. UK. So there you are, everybody. I think we'll leave it there. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Conte we trust. Please get Porro done.
Everywhere we go.